Hey guys, so for today's video, I have a full face of Wet n Wild makeup. I'm going to be doing the one brand tutorial. I've been wanting to do a one brand tutorial forever, and what better than Wet n Wild? I own so many Wet n Wild products, like I didn't have to go to the store to buy any of these. I already had them in my collection. I love Wet n Wild. They're such an amazing brand, you guys. Like I'm obsessed with them. I feel like they're probably my favorite drugstore brand. So many of their stuff are like my holy grail products. I didn't just use these products like just for the video, you know what I mean? I actually use these products a lot of the times as a part of my makeup routine. Like I love them. So in a way, this video is also kind of sharing my Wet n Wild favorites, which I really love. But yeah, I pretty much just did a really classic matte smoky eye for this look. I absolutely love it. The skin is matte, but it still has a beautiful glow in the right areas. Like this highlight is popping, you guys. I can't wait to share kind of all the steps, techniques, and all the products I shared with you guys. So if you were interested in seeing this full face of Wet n Wild makeup tutorial, then make sure to keep on watching. So let's get started with primer, of course. So this is actually a new one for me. I normally love the Wet n Wild Coverall, I think it's called, primer. My voice is raspy again. Sorry about that, you guys, but I had a pretty wild weekend. You guys are gonna see it on the vlog channel, which if you don't follow my vlog channel, make sure you guys subscribe to it. Yeah, I had a pretty crazy weekend. So you guys will see it on the vlog. So excuse my raspy voice. And I also have some tan rubbing off, but we're gonna fix that all with makeup and we're gonna get glam. So yeah, I usually use the Wet n Wild Coverall primer, but they sent me this one, which is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Dewy. I always feel like photo focus is a hard word to say. Dewy primer, and I feel like this is gonna be really good. I love the Coverall one, so I feel like I'm gonna love this. Let's rip off the seal. It almost looks like it has actual like luminous, like a little bit of highlighter built in it. This is gonna be nice. Oh, yes. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that added the most beautiful, subtle glow. I actually really love this because, or at least so far, because a lot of like luminous primers, they just add too much highlight, and then I start to feel like I look like Tin Man in the wrong areas, and it's just not cute. But this is adding a very subtle like glow, and it's looking very healthy and pretty. Okay, this is like my favorite part ever. This is foundation, of course. We're gonna get this face matching this tan body. So I love this foundation. It is a holy grail for me. Like I really die hard for this. I actually use it more than my Estee Lauder Double Wear now, which I've made the claim that I really do feel like they're dupes, and I use this one so much more now. Like I just love it. So they actually, I feel like they need to expand their shade range because I don't have like a perfect shade. This is too light and then this is too dark. So we have golden beige and desert beige. So I always mix the two. Can I just say I love this little spatula thing? I feel like that's a lot of foundation, but what else is new for me? So I'm gonna go ahead and blend that up. It's got some foundation on my shirt, so I just had to wet that and take it off, so don't mind that. Okay, so I'm just gonna freshen up the face with the primer water spray. Oh, I totally forgot to use these that I wanted to. I wanted to put them under the foundation because I find that they work the best underneath the foundation, but maybe I'll just try to still use a little bit later. So let's go ahead and move on to concealer. This concealer is actually really nice. The only reason why I don't use it often is because I don't like how the applicator doesn't take out enough product, and I want the shade range to expand. But other than that, the formula is actually really nice. It's super full coverage, so it reminds me a lot of, I don't know, it almost gives me Kat Von D concealer vibes. You know what I mean? Maybe not as full coverage as that, but it really gives me that same type of feel. I mean, it's so nice. I'm like really excited to be using it again today. I haven't used this one in a while. So this one's in the shade light medium beige, and it's a beautiful light yellow shade, which I really like. And I'm obviously just gonna put it down the nose as well. And I like to bring it kind of like straight up, not too much on the sides. Cupid's bow. A little bit on the chin, but not too much. I'm actually gonna leave the under eye and do the center first. I love doing the under eye last because it really lets the concealer kind of sit there a little bit. This concealer is a little bit, not sticky, but like tacky, a little bit like resistant, if you wanna like, if that's how you can kind of describe it. But I really like that because I feel like it really holds and it really does last, and it makes it, that's what kind of makes it pack on that coverage. Like, look how beautiful that under eye looks. I'm obsessed. So here's another product I'm obsessed with. I have been using this for like years now. I've hit pan on both of them because I love both of these shades. I'm actually gonna mix both of those, the yellow and this kind of like lighter neutral color, and we're gonna brighten up the under eye. Just gonna dab that underneath the eye. I like to dab it instead of rub because I don't want to move any product underneath. And then I'll kind of feather it out. Okay, another favorite part of mine is contouring and bronzing. I've been obsessed with cream products, and you guys know, sorry, my nose is itchy. You guys know I love, love, love these. These are the Wet n Wild Makeup Contour Sticks, and this is Oaks on You, which I love for like a bronze shade. And then we have Where's Walnut, which I love for a contour shade. So we're gonna use the two of these today. My favorite thing about these is they pack great pigment, but they're not too matte and they're not too hydrating, but they're super creamy and they blend out really nicely. They just look really natural on the skin. They look amazing. I think it would be super cool if they added this in like a contour palette and they added all their shades together. I think that would be really nice. But anyways, I'm gonna use Oaks on You, keep it high, and add that as kind of like a bronze. So these are super chubby, so they're kind of hard to contour the nose with, but I will usually just take a brush and apply it like this to the nose. This, by the way, is the Sigma E41. And then I'll just bounce it out with my beauty blender. So I'm gonna take the shade, I think this is Caramel, yeah, Caramel Toffee, and I'm gonna take this beautiful warm bronzer and just kind of set that. Now this stuff is super pigmented and I really don't want that much pigment, so I just kind of picked up only a little bit of product. Okay, so this is like one of my favorite blushes from Wet n Wild. This is the Mellow Wine blush. It's so beautiful. It just looks really pretty and natural. So I like to just take a small amount because it is pretty pigmented. So pretty and natural. Like, I love that. So now for the fun stuff, we're gonna highlight. I love, love, love these. These are the Wet n Wild highlighting powders in Precious Petals, which I would have to say is probably my favorite shade. It's not too champagne-y, not too golden, but I also really love Golden Flower Child. Oh, it's hard to say which one's my favorite. Kind of love both of them. I think I'm gonna mix both of the shades today since I love both of them, I couldn't choose. So over here we have Precious Petals, and then we have Golden Flower Crown. This is just a little bit more golden, whereas this is a little bit more peachy. Ooh, so beautiful. You guys, these highlights, they really look wet and smooth on the skin. Like, they don't look powdery or dry at all. Most of you know that I hate a highlight that looks powdery and dry on the skin. There's just nothing more unattractive than that. You want it to look smooth and wet and flawless. So I'm gonna attempt to kick it up a notch here, and I just applied some on the brush, and I'm just gonna spray it with some of the Wet n Wild primer water. Now, in my experience, I find that when you wet the highlight too much, it has a hard time blending out. It becomes like a cream product, and now it's like pasty and splotchy. So you don't want to wet it too much. I like how this Wet n Wild spray, the spray is super fine. So the spray like spreads out like this. So you're not gonna get the brush too wet, which I like. And then I apply it with super light pressure. Okay, so my camera stopped recording. I don't know what point it stopped at. We're gonna go ahead and move on to the brows. I'm gonna use the Wet n Wild Retractable Brow Pencil. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, this is actually a good product, but it's not my favorite, just because even the Anastasia one, I find it kind of just a little bit, I think it's a personal preference thing, just a little bit tricky to work with like that angle. I like the traditional brow kind of like pencil instead of the angled one, but the formula is really nice and I do like the color. This is dark brown, so I always like to use a brow powder, so I'm gonna take the Nude Awakening eyeshadow palette Pan by Wet n Wild, and I'm gonna use this very deep dark brown. And I'm gonna finish off the brow with the Wet n Wild Ultimate Brow Mascara, and this one is in the shade Nothing But Brunette. So now that the brows are done, we're gonna go ahead and do the eyeshadow. I have so many palettes in front of me. I'm gonna use the Wet n Wild 10 pan eyeshadow palettes, but I'm kind of just gonna bounce around between all the different shades since I love them all and they all have different ones that I want today. I think for today, I wanna just do a very classic matte look. So yeah, I'm just gonna bounce around between the shades, and I possibly might use this, which I think this was limited edition. But anyways, to start off, I am going to take the Comfort Zone palette, and I'm gonna take this beautiful, beautiful kind of really warm peachy transition shade. I'm actually gonna take the edge of the primer and kind of use that as a straight edge. I normally don't do this, but for today, I really kind of just want a little bit of a straight edge for my shadow. So I'm just gonna apply this as the transition shade. Okay, this is gonna be easier. I just found a business card. Yeah, that's kind of easier to hold. So next I'm going to take the Rosé in the Air palette and take this beautiful caramel brown. So next I'm going to take the Not a Basic Peach palette, and I'm going to take this really deep brown. So we're not going to blend out the product with this same brush, just because when you're working with a darker shadow, sometimes it's better to blend out with a clean brush so that you don't spread the product too far. Now I'm going to take another brush with no product on it. So I don't really want to use much of this, but I think it might look pretty if I just use a little bit of this kind of brown shade. It has a little bit of gold sparkles in it, so I feel like it might look pretty. I'm just taking some of that same dark brown and adding it close to the lash, not in the inner, just on the outer. So taking that same first transition shade that we used, I'm just going to apply that underneath the eye. And then the second brown caramel shade. Then taking that deep brown, I'm just bringing a little bit of it underneath here. And you can take the same highlighter that you used for the inner corner. Okay, so I actually don't own any Wet n Wild mascaras, so I'm just going to use my favorite duo, the Maybelline Lash Sensational and the L'Oreal Telescopic for the bottom lashes, and then we'll move on to the lips. Okay, so now that I did the mascara and I also put on the Kiss number 11 lashes, I'm gonna go ahead and do the lips. So for the lips, I don't have a Wet n Wild lip liner that kind of like matches my natural. I had like a really, really pale one that won't work. So I'm gonna have to use the NYX lip liner. So I'm just gonna go ahead and quickly overline my lips on the top and outline them on the bottom with the NYX natural lip liner. Okay, so I used to live for these back in the day. These are definitely an oldie but a goodie. These are the Wet n Wild lipsticks, and they're super matte, but these are so nice. I used to love them back in the day. Nice coverage as well. So I have the shade Pink Sugar, let it focus, and then the shade Bare It All. So I think I'm gonna do Pink Sugar, but I think I'm gonna mix in some of Bare It All because I think Pink Sugar might be too light. Yeah. So I feel like that looks really good. I'm just gonna go ahead and take the lip liner and just like kind of blend it in. Lastly, I'm just gonna set my face with the Wet n Wild Photo Focus All Day Wear Spray. Okay guys, so that is it for the look. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I feel like it's such a pretty like classic matte look, and you can achieve it with drugstore products. Wet n Wild, I have to say, probably my favorite drugstore brand. I mean, it's kind of hard to choose a favorite, but they're definitely up there. So hopefully you guys did enjoy, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys. Mwah.